this IEEE TCLT interview at 7th International Conference on Technology for Education at Warangal, India. I am Kavya Alse, currently a PhD student at IIT Bombay. With me, I have my colleague Soumya, who is also a PhD student at IIT Bombay. And we have Dr. Maiga Chang with us today for the interview. Dr. Maiga Chang is an associate professor in the School of Computing Information and Systems at Athabasca University, Canada. His researches mainly focus on mobile learning and ubiquitous learning, museum e-learning, game-based learning, educational robots, learning behavior analysis, data mining, intelligent agent technology, computational intelligence in e-learning and mobile healthcare. He is a prolific writer and has co-authored more than 185 edited books, book chapters, journal and international conference papers. He has given 66 talks and lectures in different conferences, universities, and events. He has participated in more than 260 international conferences and workshops as a program committee member. He is a member of many societies like ICM, IEEE, ACM, AAAI, INNS, and Phi Tau Phi Scholastic Honor Society. So, thank you, sir, for having accepted our invitation. During this privileged time with you, we would like to hear your thoughts about intelligence and gaming in educational research.
Thank you so much for having me here. And I hope the question will not be so difficult. Yeah, so sure, you can ask anything you want.
So, we have seen a lot of your games. You are an avid gamer. Do games inspire your research? How do you connect your research and your gaming?
Yeah, basically, the point is if you want to do game-based learning research, from my personal point of view, you needed to know what the game is. So of course, playing game will help you to know what kind of features that a game has, and that kind of features can attract the people to playing the game, to keep them playing the game. So that is very important, especially when you have an educational game. You always want the students to play the game, and you want them to play a lot continuously for many months, not just 1 hour, 2 hour, and weeks. So yes, game definitely can help me to think about what kind of educational game we can have.
Features in games, non-educational games, do you think they contribute to learning in educational games?
Yeah, yes, I must say that because in the most of educational game, you will find that they miss something, some elements which commercial games or what we call video games they have, because probably we are too emphasized on the learning part, and then we sacrifice the education. Sorry, we to emphasize the educational part, but we sacrifice the playing part. So if the educational game is not fun, then it's another educational game. It's a what we call serious game. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I would like to emphasize. Most of people think a serious game is, serious. No, no, no. If you want your game is playable, is fun, is attractive to the students, so you need to consider game as game. So um, almost all elements in commercial games can be used in educational game. But the problem is how you adopt that, because you need to try to change the context. For example, we have a fighting. We have a fighting in the commercial game. How to transform, how to convert the fighting part to an educational game, so you don't have violence in your educational game, but you still keep the competitive element for your educational game. So that will be what we needed to emphasize.
Okay, sir. So, what would you say makes an application qualify as a game?
You mean simulation?
Any application, like if you have a program
Yeah.
or something, how would you say that this program is not a game or this program is a game?
Okay, so to answer this question, we need to know that previous researchers they have some kind of definition saying why a game can attract the people to play. So basically, they summarize many elements, or we say many features or characteristics of the game, which can reach that goal. So the most important part will be like a control. So uh, players can control in the game, and also we mentioned about curiosity. So again, needed to be uh, very special and make students to have a curiosity to try to do something, try to explore the world, something like that. And of course, we need to have a fancy, user interface, graphics arts. That is also what our research lack of that, but that is also important. So in that case, I think the most important part will be control. As you can see that when you play a game, you can always decide what you want to do. I don't want to do today. I can do that tomorrow. I want to play a lot of game today because this is Sunday, Saturday, so I want to play a lot of game. I can do that. Oh, I want to play the game, but actually I don't want to do anything. I just want to chat with my friend. That's okay. So everything is under user's control, player's control. So in the most of the time, our educational games or simulation, they are fixed. They have a predefined procedure and they don't allow students to do extra thing or to do different things because you needed to do this, otherwise I cannot respond. But the one kind of simulation could be enhanced to become a game. For example, um, in the industry, we use a simulation to teach pilot how to pilot their airplane. Similar things, we have a simulator, a flight simulator in Microsoft Xbox. That is a game. So what is the difference? The difference is okay. Basically, with Xbox, I can make a flight crash, right? I can control it. Of course, in industry, I cannot do that. If I do that, probably I won't get my license, something like that. So, but they can still make a flight crash, right? They just cannot do in the training mode. In other status, they can do what they want. So those kind of simulation, they can become a game. And sometimes, for example, I can fly. I can fly them a little bit past. I can see the city. That is fun. That is a fun part. So they use simulation to teach. At the same time, they can enjoy the simulation. So I think control is very important. So as long as an application can provide the students enough control ability or make students capable to control what they want to do, then it can say become a game. Of course, that is just my definition. Um, you can still say that most of educational games right now we see that is game because they still provide fun. They still have a very good graphic arts. So basically, you don't have to, have all the elements, all the feature, all the characteristic realized in your educational game. But from a point of view, I would say that the real educational game should also consider the control part. But of course, that is very difficult to realize because you always want students to learn. Yeah. Thank you.
That leads me to this question of you say that the main element a game should have is a control.
Yeah.
So the game should know what the user is doing.
Yes.
So the game should have some form of intelligence to it.
Yeah.
And even if it is not a game, I have seen that all your systems will have some sort of intelligence added to it. So how do you take decisions about what type of intelligence to add, where to add it, and all?
Yeah. Basic game, we have two parts. We applied for intelligence. The first one is the what do we call the NPC or the monster's behavior. So we give intelligence to the monsters so they can react to the environment, even react to your user's behavior. So that is the first thing. The second thing is what we can apply the intelligence is quest. In the game, there are many quests. For example, if you are playing a shooting game, so you will see a lot of different quests, and you need to protect some kind of cash transferring, and or you need to find someone and kill him. Okay, I shouldn't say that, but that is game. That is game. So in that case, how the quest showing to students or to the users, that part can also be applied to intelligence, or we say you can apply the data mining, data analytics, or artificial intelligence, computational intelligence to that part. So there are two parts you can apply the AI or data mining, data analytics. um, the fun thing is usually we won't consider to apply the artificial intelligence or data mining techniques to the NPC's behavior or monster's behavior. Why? Because, for example, if I am playing a game, if the monster has intelligence, what will happen? I will never beat him, right? Because it's very intelligent and can can adapt to what you have done earlier. So I will never win. That is not a game. That is just I'm looking for someone to beat me. That is I don't need that. I need to have some situation which I can win. Perhaps has a challenge, but I still can win. So that part of artificial intelligence or intelligent system is a little bit more difficult because usually you cannot make a computer too smart to beat. The second one for the quest, that can be done because all the users, all the students, all the players, they have their own personality, they have all their own preference, experience, and even prior knowledge. So in that case, we can give educational games or any kind of educational system intelligent. We can put the artificial intelligence or data analytics module to the game or to the application to provide users personalized quest. Yeah, so that's I'm not sure if I answer your question, but that is what we want to do, because if you don't put like intelligent or data analytics into your system, then your system is just an object with filled with all the what do we say predefined rules, which means everyone when they use the system they look like the same one. And nowadays we have a very good computers, mobile devices, and computing powers. So it's time for us to consider to have a smarter system rather than stupid system. Yeah, like before.
Developed a lot of interesting systems. for education.
Yeah.
They have spread over a wide variety of domains like finance with
Yeah.
your pecunia application, and then you have this landmark based system, then the museum walk system,
Yeah.
and all of them, and you have one for autism as well. So all of them are so different domains. So how much of domain expertise do you require for developing such systems?
Yeah. For developing such a system, yes, you will have you will need to have a very good understanding about the domain knowledge, the concepts, and the other things. So when you develop such kind of system, you may need to have a full knowledge about that. But one thing we can consider is, can you develop a system which is just a kind of interface between the students and the background knowledge, the knowledge behind the scene. If we can do that, then we can always change the knowledge behind the scene, and then our system can be, automatically provide learning activity for students for different subjects and that. So yes, no matter what kind of approach we take, we need to be well known the knowledge. However, one suggestion or one comment I should have made is, we don't need to create a system with complete knowledge of a particular subject. We can do it one by one, stage by stage, just like when we learn for the day one, for the first week, we learn this kind of knowledge, and for the second week, we learn another unit. So you can create a system step by step by feeding more content, more knowledge into the system. So at the end, your system can be used for the whole course, but at the beginning, probably your system can only be used for the first 2 or 3 units or first 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, but that is okay. You can add more and more later. Yeah.
Coming to the matter of different subjects,
Yeah.
students require certain types of thinking skills to easily apply or jump from one subject to another and apply that skill in that domain. So, in order to teach such skills, how can a system can be developed?
Hmm. Yeah, that is I think a very difficult question, because the thinking skill itself is difficult, or we can say complex, complicated. So if in that case, we cannot have a very straightforward solution directly for a particular thinking skill, because the first thing we need to do is to analyze what the sub skills that a thinking skill has, and then we're trying to transform the method we are going to teach in the real situation, transform that to the system. So how you teach students this kind of sub skill in the real world, real classroom, then we trying to convert it to a kind of quest or a kind of learning activity in the virtual world or virtual system. And even we do that, we only, finish one sub skill. If we want to teach a student the whole thinking skill, we need to realize we need to implement all the sub skills one by one. So, but as you know, there are so many thinking skills, which means we need to have a lot of time to develop such system which can teach students all the thinking skills. Yeah, so I will say that it's a very huge and a very difficult work, but it was worth to do. Yeah, but of course also needed have a lot of help from different experts, because no one is the expert of all thinking skills, and the thinking skill can apply, that can be used, can be learned in different knowledge domain. So in that case, if you really want to do such kind of system which teaches students or training students thinking skills, then you need to have a lot of help from different experts, different subject domain experts. Yeah, something like this.
Sir, what kind of skills would researchers need to do research in educational technology?
Okay, so first of all, first of all, researchers of course needed to have a skill doing in-depth and a comprehensive survey. That is the first thing, because you don't want to do a research and after 20, no, not sorry, not 20 years, after 1 year, you found, oh, someone has done, that is not good for everyone, especially for students. See, a master student only have 2 or 3 years, and every 2 years later, he found, oh, someone has done this in 2010. Then he or she needed to redo his or her master thesis. So that is the first thing. The second thing I want to emphasize is researchers should have ability to do cross-domain, or we say interdiscipline survey, because researchers, most of research we see in the educational technology domain, actually some of their backbone or some of their theory actually coming from another domain, not educational technology, but probably psychology or even business, like teamwork or grouping strategy. Actually, business area, they have a lot of theory about that, how to form a group, what kind of a person you need to have in your group, so your group can have a good productivity, something like that. So a good researcher should be able to know that the problem you are currently working on, or the methodology you want to adopt, probably is not in your domain, in your area, probably is in another area. So you need to make sure that you have, you know, good vision, not just like me have these glasses. You need to see far away, see wider enough. And the third one is, I think researchers in education technology domain need to have at least one ability, that is not the ability, I will say use technology. So for example, if you want to use, if you say, okay, I want to use Web 2.0 for my course, or I want to use Web 2.0 to create a research, to create a platform, or to create a framework for teaching something. Of course, you need to try to use Web 2.0 first. There are so many different Web 2.0 applications. At least you need to try to use. And once you use, you have the idea about, oh, how this work. And if I am a student or if I am a teacher, when I see this kind of technology, will I use that? Or if I'm a student, will I like that? If not, then you shouldn't give up. And that leads to another ability, our skill. That is, you need to identify, you need to know what is the equivalent technology of a particular things. For example, you want to use Wikipedia. So, but if you found Wikipedia is not good enough, what kind of equipment technology that you can also use, but it is very like to Wikipedia? So that is the fourth themes. And the fifth themes, sorry, too many things a researcher in education technology should have. The fifth themes I think is they needed to have at least idea of how an educational technology or how an educational system was implemented. For example, when we use Second Life as a virtual world, at least you needed to know, okay, so Second Life actually is created by some kind of things, and it can import some kind of 3D object, and this kind of 3D object can be created by what kind of application, something like that. You don't need to be able to implement the system, but at least you need to know the foundation, how this system coming out. Okay. Last. See, six. That's the same as researchers in education technology needed to be able to collaborate with others. Because not only educational technology, I think most of research nowadays, they cannot be done by one person. They needed to be, conducted by many different people who have different ability or skills. So educational technology researchers, they probably very good in programming, they probably very good in doing survey, they probably very good in modeling. So they needed to collaborate with others. Don't just, lock your room and doing research in your own room. That is not good. So yeah, sorry, there are so many things educational technology researchers should have. So yeah.
As a researcher, what was the most surprising or unexpected result that you got in your experiments?
Actually, not so much, because when you do research, you usually will have your research model created, and based on research model, you will have a hypothesis. So of course, when we do research, we always want to see that our research result in line with our hypothesis or support our hypothesis. So in the most of the time, we do have that happen. But still, there will be some surprising. But usually, when you see the surprising results or unexpected result, you needed to know that there are so many factors may make this thing happen. So that is not a bad thing. That is not a bad thing. You need to know why, possible reason to see this kind of result. So in our case, there are two findings are really surprisingly. The first one is when we do the context-aware mobile game, and of course our game is context-aware, so we want to make sure that context-aware, this feature the game has, does make students feel this game is good for use or good for them to learn. Surprisingly, they don't think so. On the other hand, the context-aware mobile educational game we have also has another feature called story. So we want to use a story to make them feel they are playing a kind of role in the virtual world. And yes, they think the story is good. So we are wondering, so why context-aware is not good? And after that, we found that because our context-aware, when we do the experiment, the context-aware is not the real context-aware. What that mean? When we do the experiment, we trying to simulate the whole world in the school campus. which means actually the school campus is not is not the real world. And then we're trying to say, okay, this building is North America, this building is Europe. Students say, no, this is not, this is building 1, this is building 2. So what we think context aware, they don't think that is context aware. Although our application, because we have some kind of coordinated setting, so the application think you are in North America. However, students, they say, oh no, this is building 2. Okay, so that is why, that is surprisingly. The second unexpected result is when we do the game-based learning. Usually we think female students, they are not very good in playing game and they don't like a game, something like that. They have their attitude will be different from the male students. And we found that it's not 100% true. Female students, they just don't not so comfortable in playing game or win the game. They don't have a confidence in win the game, something like that. But on the other hand, when we say, do you want to use educational game for learning? We found that actually female and the male students, their difference is the nature of their attitude, which means do they really think a game is useful for learning? If not, if a person say no, then of course they will not want to use the game. Okay, that is a very important thing. So although it is not our expected answers, however, because of this finding, we found that no problem. So you can create an educational game for the students as long as students, they say they think playing game may help them for learning. Here I need to emphasize one thing. Never treat or never have that kind of thinking saying, okay, I want to create a game for everyone, or I want to create a system for everyone. Because you always, there are some students they don't like, or some students, their learning styles don't allow them to have a good feeling for using that. For example, some students, they want to read the hard copy of the book. They don't want to use any kind of learning. Or they said watching the display will make them have a eye problem. Someone say that. So in that case, they of course they don't like. So I always say game-based learning is just an option for students who don't like other way of learning. They can have a choice. That's all. So that kind of unexpected finding make us saying, yes, that's true. That is correct, because if you naturally, you born don't like a game, then of course nothing will help. Yeah, so that is unexpected, two unexpected findings we have. But of course, we all find the answer or reason why they are unexpected. Yeah.
What was the most challenging project that you took up?
Okay, the most challenging, at this moment, the most challenge project will be Mega World. That is a multiplayer educational game for all the platform, because we want to create a game for everyone, for all subjects, as you can see, for everyone. That is contradiction to what I just said. So we want to build such kind of platform, which means the platform needed to be very complete, very in detailed. Everything needed to be considered. So that one is one is challenge. Of course, we have progress, and we trying to move on from time to time. But that one is very very challenge. Yeah.
For your time and for your valuable suggestions and for all the answers that you give.
No problem. It's my pleasure.